Let's talk about comic book speculation
Sure,
in the 90s, which
absolutely,
was... In the 90s, comic books had a massive boom.
Why do you think that was?
It was...
Was it Batman 89?
Potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know, but comic books were just a huge business back then, and I think it's because you could just get them at newsstands.
Oh, okay.
That's not really a thing now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, you could just pick up one for, 50 cents at a newsstand or whatever.
I don't know what a newsstand is.
Exactly. It's all comic book stores now. But I think, it was not uncommon. Like, if a book sold, 100,000 copies,
Yeah.
it was out.
Yeah.
No good.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if a comic book sold 100,000 copies, that would be amazing.
Absolutely,
It was not uncommon for Todd McFarlane or a Jim Lee book or whatever to sell 500, 600,000 copies. The first issue of Spider-Man sold 1.3 million copies or something like that.
It's too many.
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. But what happened is that they all decided to, branch out, create Image Comics. Whole bunch of people whose names I can't recall.
Rob Liefeld.
Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson.
The two we said before.
Yeah, Mark Silvestri.
Yep.
Whilce Potatio. Whilce Potatio, yeah.
Yes.
A couple other people. But anyway, so they all came up with new number ones. It was, Spawn, Savage Dragon, Wetworks, Cyberforce, whatever Rob Liefeld did.
All the classics you know and love.
All the classics.
What did Rob Liefeld do? I should know that.
No, he did bloody Youngblood.
See, the only ones from that, I'm like, they're still...
Savage Dragon is still around. Savage Dragon is still around. And it's original. It's still Eric Larson. It's not.
And there's a lot of good Savage Dragon stuff, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And it's weird because all those issue ones, they were selling. People were collecting them, thinking, "Oh, they're issue ones; they'll be worth something."
Exactly, that's true. Yeah.
But when you sell a 1.3 million copies of something, it is not worth anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because the rule of anything being worth something is it has to be at some point worth nothing to eventually be worth anything. For example, the Star Wars figures. Everybody bought Star Wars figures, played with them, got rid of them, threw them in a bin, a dog ate them, whatever.
Yeah.
But the people who kept them, the very few, means that those, because they were worth virtually nothing, which means people turfed them.
Yep.
So people keep them or had them for whatever reason, then they're worth a lot because they're rare.
Absolutely.
But now, you got your limited edition Kylo Rens, they sell however many million that is.
And everybody buys one to open and one to keep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which essentially renders them worthless. Or their original price.
Yes, exactly. So that's the thing. I read a thing on Collectables a while ago, and in order for something to be collectible, it has to. But it not only does it have to get to zero, it has to go below what's called the trough of no value. So it has to be worth negative money. So you have to be like,
I'll take these up your hands.
I couldn't sell this, but also it's taken up space in this crate that I could be keeping.
This is like the Atari
old
landfill.
Batteries in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
so that was the thing about the 90s is people look back and they went, "Oh, Action Comics #1 featuring Superman.
Yeah,
that's worth." At the time was worth like $27,000 or something like that, and now it's worth millions. Yeah. And people are like, "Oh, so this is the number one. Like this is the new crop of #1s from the new hot creators. All these books, all these characters are going to be legendary, iconic characters forever.
Yeah.
So we'll get these. We'll speculate. We'll buy all these. We'll buy all the variant covers, and then in 20 years we'll sell them and make a mint. All the Spawn, Wetworks, Whilce Potatio. No, he did Wetworks. Bloody Shadowhawk.
Do you think though this could get into the trough of despair or whatever now that people are like, well, these aren't worth anything?
Well, they have to eventually, but I think the timeline is extended. I think it'll have to be 100 years.
Yeah,
maybe,
absolutely.
At least. Yeah.
What's that line from Indiana Jones? You put a trinket watch in the desert in 1,000 years, it's worth
That's
whatever.
right, yeah, exactly.
It's a good movie. We should talk about those movies.
Let's do it now.
I don't know. I feel like when you get people buying up all the things and collecting everything, I think it ruins it for kids.
Yeah, boy, does it.
You know what I mean? I think there's this guy called the Russian Comic Book Geek, who I like a lot.
Oh, yes.
But he did this video called Comics Should Be For Everybody.
Yep.
And it's basically how he talks about a lot of the comic book industry has been hijacked by people who used to be fans as kids.
Yep.
This conversation turned to something completely else.
That's fine.
It's fine. And people who loved comics who now go back to the store and just kind of buy up everything and then kind of shit on anything new and hate anybody who doesn't know a lot about a certain thing.
Right.
And you know what the thing is about comics or any kind of movie or anything for me is whatever level you like it at is okay.
Yeah.
You can be new to something or you could have a passing interest in something. That doesn't make you less make you less of a person because if you know less about Spider-Man than another person, maybe you just...
Maybe the exact circumstances of your birth and life haven't led you to liking and knowing the same amount about Spider-Man as a certain other person.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's why when movies come out and people get angry at, say like the new X-Men movie comes out and people get angry at other people who go, you don't even like X-Men. You just jumped on the bandwagon because it's an X-Men movie. Who fucking cares, man? Like, people can like things or not like things. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're the biggest fan, great. If you're not, who cares? None of this, again, I always say this, none of this matters. You just like what you like at whatever level you want to like it at.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there who know infinitely more than us.
Yep.
And that's great.
Sure.
That's, you know what I mean?
That's most people you're talking
most
about.
people, yeah.